following is a presentation of the iRacing Esports Network.
So what are you afraid of? Those feelings are made up. For anyone asking who is the best, we putting our hands up.
4 more kilometers. Oh, there we go! They touch!
This time, like the last time, I'm moving so fast, I'm ready to ride.
Cronky! Down to the inside, and Hoosie's off!
Messenger throws the block, and he will keep him behind him.
My time. None of you people can tell me to stop. Lower the lights down. Hand over my crown. Hand over my heart. I do this for my town. I do this for my crowd. So turn me up real loud. My time. None of you people can tell me to stop. Turning the track up. I'll never go back down. Hand over my heart. I do this for my town. I do this for my crowd. So turn me up real loud. My time. None of you people can tell me to stop.
iRacing, you wanted the best, you got him 4 abreast. Often imitated, never duplicated. The greatest show on dirt, the World of Outlaws.
Here's to hugging corners, not cutting them. To grinding away, not grinding to a halt. Here's to those who stay true to the old saying, if you want something done right, you do it yourself. From Tallboy Storage to the latest line of extreme grip hand tools, Craftsman is there when it matters.
Welcome to Mechanicsburg, Pennsylvania, home of the Pennsylvania Posse and the 50,000 Twin National Open for sprint cars, as well as, of course, here, the Williams Grove Speedway, one of the most iconic sprint car racing facilities in the country, and we are here for the 6th and midpoint round of the season of the World of Outlaw Craftsman Sprint Car Championship Series here on iRacing. Randolph Cheneth, Cam Walsh, and Hugo Louis bringing you all the action on this Monday evening. And Cam, this facility is one of the greatest dirt tracks in the country for sprint car racing. A lot of the most iconic and famous moments of sprint car racing have happened right here. This should be a good show tonight.
Absolutely, and of course, with it being Williams Grove, we don't have many of that paperclip style racing tracks. And for me, that's going to be a big challenge for these guys because, you know, they're used to week in, week out, maybe just doing your bowls or your fairground style racing. No, this is a paperclip. This is a lot of off-throttle modulation. This is a lot of work, and these guys are going to be fighting hard to find where the grip is once this track wears in.
That's definitely the way it's going to be tonight. A lot of work going into this one. As you see the track information there. To talk about what Cam's talking about, most of the tracks we have on the sim, think of Volusia, you think of Eldora, you think of all the tracks that we really have. Charlotte, they're pretty much, you know, the straightaways are kind of squashed and they have really, really wide corners. Here, if you're a NASCAR fan, if you like asphalt stuff, Most of the stuff is more akin to Bristol or Dover. Here what we have tonight, this here is Martinsville or New Hampshire. You have super long straightaways and relatively tight corners compared to them. That's going to allow these drivers to really get a run, potentially make moves on different areas of the racetrack. Qualifying is currently underway, but I do, before we get to that, want to go down our current championship standings. Tim Ryan currently leads the way, 35 points over the driver of Alex Bergeron. James Edens is slotted into that third spot, with Chris Brenner and Howard Weaver rounding out your top five. Right now it really is a Tim Ryan and Alex Bergeron breakaway in the points. Then you get the likes of Edens and Brenner, of course. Cam Dance, Matt McKinney, David Heileman, Austin Selman, Adam Elby. Really the only names in that top 10, Cam, that really scream should be further up the list are those drivers like Heileman and Semmelman that have just flat out struggled to perform this season as we look down towards the top 20 in points, like the Ryan Pace, Chase Cabre, Nick Cooper, Anthony Presto, AJ Neben, Robert Kurtstetter, and the rest.
Yeah, and Philip Diaz, who of course races pretty much each and every World Championship series you can possibly imagine. I think he's been doing better in the late models than the sprint cars. Sprint cars are always a duel of the dance as the qualifying session gets over. I gotta say, for James Edens, I mean, what a sprint car season he's been putting together. I think he was just kind of here. He just wanted to be here, see what it was. You know, I would certainly say as Heat 1's getting ready to go, he was just mostly a late model car. Well, now he's third in points.
He's doing a fantastic job as well, and you know, I mean, and he's not even the only one that fits into that. You think about Howard Weaver, very similar, sort of a late model specialist. He finds himself in the top five. He struggled in the sprint cars the last couple weeks, but you know, be interesting to see if he can rebound. As we're going to take a look now at your starting grid, it's going to be a 3 heat race show, and Tim Ryan goes ahead and dominates the field once again. He was quickest by about 200 or 300. The only driver to get down into the threes and on the lap times. And let's do a full rundown of your starting grid for heat race number 1. Tim Ryan will be on the pole with Nick Cooper. Starting on the outside, Ryan Pace and Adam Elby are going to be on road number 2. Robert Kurtstetter and Michael Sheridan are on road 3, with Jesse Dawkins and Dylan Semmelman rounding out this 8-car field. Dylan's not been making particularly regular stops in this championship, but still a very talented driver in his own right. But then again, qualifying results maybe not reflecting that this evening. I think he was well down the order, third from the bottom at a 17.6.
Yeah, most certainly, and they're just waiting for Tim Ryan to wheel out that machine onto the racing track. Obviously, he's going to the Australian. I think he's probably just waiting for the timer to tick down. There we go. There is the modem simulation. Yeah, fashionably, the Altus machine. Got to keep reminding myself that, or else I'll get into trouble. But yeah, they're getting themselves ready to pull off on the racetrack.
Yep, so these guys begin rolling their way through. Huge shout outs once again to however you are watching tonight, be it on perhaps Facebook Live, here on Dirt Vision, or even on the iRacing Esports Network. Of course, if there's any other sim racing action you want to catch, be sure to subscribe to the iRacing Esports Network. We don't stream things such as, of course, NASCAR style content or anything else for that matter, sports cars, to Dirt Vision, because, well, not much dirt involved in that stuff. So be sure to tune into the iRacing Esports Network to get all of your sim racing needs. Had a couple big events over the weekend. 24-hour race at Spa, that was phenomenal. Had the World Championship Grand Prix Series with Martin Cronke stealing another win away, as these guys round their way through for their first of 2 pace laps. And this is going to be one of those tracks, Cam. Most of the tracks we've seen have been very top dominant here. I think it would be very surprised if we find people much higher than the middle.
Yeah, and it all is going to depend. I think someone might be able to, this might do one of those things where corners 1 and 2, you slide right on as hard as you can to the inside, and 3 and 4, you stay high to the outside. I mean, we've seen that. We saw that happen last week of the late models. Let's see if maybe that'll happen here in these sprint cars.
Down a long back straightaway for your top 2, Tim Ryan and Nick Cooper. The way it looks like, given the fact that Tim was 0.06 of a second quicker than Nick in qualifying, the Australian out in front should be able to keep up his reign of dominance. They rolled through 1 and 2. See a couple drivers really getting angsty here a little bit early, and they finally get on it, and Tim Ryan is going to bring him to green down this long front straightaway. Mechanicsburg, Pennsylvania now into what is pretty much a hairpin of turn 1. Most people running the middle and going up top here early as they scream down the back straightaway. First fight going to be for 5th and 6th. I think that might be Center and maybe Sheridan involved. 3 wide for 2nd, though. Up the middle goes one of the cars. Can't quite see who that is. Now they roll themselves down this front straight and back in towards turn 2. The 35 and the 44 duking it out now through 1 and 2.
Yeah, Tim Ryan has the break as Ryan Pace was looking to go to the inside. Ryan Pace does go to the inside here as he'll go to the inside of Nick Cooper. Nothing's in it though. You get that good outside launch, but that won't last for too long once the track gets more worn in here. Position 4 is Adam Albee right now. Michael Sheridan's trying to fight for him, and Dylan Semmelman also looking to get by. It is the top 4 that are going here, and Randy, we're seeing these guys kind of hanging. They chuck the car through the middle of the lane and let it slide outward. I do not see that happening for much longer.
Now we're going to have to wait and see if Dylan Selman already up 2 spots from where he started. He's only 2 away from a transfer spot. Fight's going to pick up between Ryan Pace and Adam Albee in towards 3 and 4. Albee gets it down to the bottom. This is the fight for 3rd. Doesn't get a big head of steam down the front straightaway though, so Pace will be able to hold on to the spot. Now Semmelman and Sheridan, who are lined up behind, are going to try to attack that driver in front who didn't get a great run down that front straightaway. Meanwhile, out at the head of the field, Tim Ryan is pretty much checking out. Dylan Selman is going to try the top, and Michael Sheridan is getting an angsty bit of contact, and Sheridan now on his side. That's going to be the end of his heat race. Things get a little bit feisty there between those two. He's going to try to get that car back out and rolling, so that moves Selman up into P5, but a big gap to that 74 in a transfer spot in 4th. Dylan's going to have his hands full trying to get there.
Yeah, I can't see Adam Albee risking perhaps trying to pick up a position on Ryan Pace. I mean, if he's going to be there towards it, if he's going to have an easy pass, I would say, fine, whatever, go for it. Going for points, but I would not risk it. You want to make it to the feature here. You never know what could happen here at Williams Grove.
White flag here in heat race number 1. Of course, top 4 go directly to the feature. Tim Ryan looks pretty much safe out there. Nick Cooper and Ryan Pace going to be pretty much qualified in 2nd and 3rd. Adam Albee in that 4th spot. Those will be your top 4 pretty much in order. Dylan Semmelman gives it a valiant effort, but is only able to move up as good as P5. Robert Kurtzetter loses one down to 6th. Jesse Dawkins starts 7th and finished 7th, and the big loser in that one was, of course, Michael Sheridan. After ending up on his side, he's going to have his work cut out for him in the last chance qualifier a little bit later this evening once we get to it. But now heat race number 2, getting grid and getting set. Let's go down the starting grid here. Chris Brenner, drivers who are on a bit of a tear with a bit of momentum coming into this one. On the front row is Weston Newell. On the outside of that, Cameron Dance and David Heilman are going to be on row 2. Howard Weaver and Anthony Lepresto are on row 3 with Britton Roxbury and Dan Smolders rounding out this 8-car field. A couple notable names, of course, in this one. David Heilman seems to be starting this one a little bit better. Seems to me he typically starts these heats outside the transfer spots and has to race his way into them. You also, of course, have a couple championship contenders in here, Chris Brenner and Howard Weaver. Howard starting outside of those transfer spots. Be interesting to see if he can get himself into them.
Yeah, most certainly, and we got to see how, as these cars are starting to roll off, these guys continue to use the track. We did see nothing too crazy, just hang to the outside. That's where the grip is in the beginning when the track is fairly new. I mean, I've raced here where the track has gotten very worn in, and it just goes... it goes quick and it goes interesting, so we'll have to see how these guys adapt to it. Good to see Howard Weaver, but it's going to be one of those situations. He's going to be starting on the inside, and I think this is kind of the big thing. Going down into that corner number 1, Randy, is probably, when you're on the inside in a sprint car, is probably one of the more frightening things I can imagine.
It can be difficult trying to keep yourself pinned down there. And of course, the other thing that's difficult about this track when it eventually does get slicked off is the fact that the corners are so tight. Most of the other tracks, you don't really have to slow the car down as much for the corners. Here, it's a legitimate lift to try to get that car to rotate, and trying to keep traction and a bit of weight planted on that right rear, not drive it through that slick stuff while you're trying to slow the car down and all the while make the corner. Make it very, very difficult. David Heilman goes up to the top side just to maybe pack it in a little bit. Another driver in the back doing that as well. Don't think it'll help when it comes to this heat race, but if you want to try to get yourself up to the top groove, every little bit helps, especially as the night goes on. With 1 heat to go after this, of course, the last chance qualifier might be able to wear that in just a little bit. That said, they're going in towards corners number 3 and 4. iRacing safety truck comes down to the safety of pit road, and that number 70 gets on it. Green flag on heat race number 2. Weston Newell gets on it as well in the 6th. of Cam Dance. He's going to get feisty up the inside of David Heilman, trying to get that third spot, but David will slingshot it around the outside, and he should just be able to hold on to that. So David immediately puts himself up in towards P3, and now he's going to go to work on the 222 Weston Newell. Maybe a little bit of contact between the two of them through corners number 3 and 4, but we are now clear and green here in heat race number 2.
Couple of cars hitting that outside barrier on the push into corner number 1 as somebody gets a little loose. Britton Roxbury now having a fight in the inside line against Dan Smolders as he will chuck it hard onto the inside. He'll throw the slide. I think that's the first slider that we've seen today. Dan Smolders will try to count on the inside, and this is what you see here. It's so hard for him to get that car slowed up. He had to scrub off so much speed in the throw just in order to keep it off of Britton Roxbury. Now, as you can see, they throw him up high once again. I think the dirt is getting, the cushion's getting high as Weston Newell is actually fighting now for position at number 1. No, wait, 2, excuse me. That's over David Heilman.
And it's currently Chris Brenner who leads this thing in position number 1. 7/10 clear of the field. Cross flags as they come off corner number 4. Half distance in heat race number 2. 4 down, 4 to go. As Heilman is still trying to do his best holding on to that second spot. Newell and Cam Dance are the next closest fight. And Julian Presto in that 5th spot is painfully close to that 6th car of Cameron Dance. And Lepresto's going to have a look down to the bottom groove. Gets a nice drive through the middle of the corner. And Cam Dance makes a mistake, and that's going to cause a bit of an issue. Anthony Lepresto ends up going around. Cam Dance able to hold on to that somehow. We also had something happen to Howard Weaver, one of your championship contenders. He's not going to finish this heat race. So now I believe it's going to be the 421 of Britton Roxbury put into a transfer spot. If not, no, maybe Weston Newell got given one there. Actually, may not have had much of a shakeup at all. Of course, Anthony was coming from the outside of that transfer spot. Cam was already in it, but we did lose one very competitive car in the 57.
Yeah, and we did lose Howard Weaver, and I saw what happened to him. He ended up having some contact with the outside wall going into 1, and he started tumbling, and he was able to get his car off track before anything happened.
White flag in the air and in towards 3 and 4 for the final time for Chris Brenner, second quickest in time trials tonight, and he made it show. He comes away with the win for heat race number 2. David Heilman up 2 spots in this heat race, and he showed very good pace because he reeled in that number 70 those last handful of laps. Weston Newell comes home in 3rd with Cameron Dance rounding out your top 4. Then you get Britton Roxbury, Dan Smolders, Anthony Lepresto, and then Howard Weaver. Howard, I think, has to be really disappointed with that, Cam, because if he does not make that mistake, he could have potentially slipped by both Cam Dance and Anthony Lepresto into a transfer spot there. That one little mistake really ended up costing him.
Yeah, passing 2 cars with only a couple of laps to go was pretty difficult, but if somebody was able to do it, probably could have been Howard Weaver. And unfortunately, that car-to-car contact between Cam Dance and that was Lepresto, that you don't like to see, is grid at number 3 is getting off.
Now, as we head down into the final heat race of the evening, AJ Neben and Alex Bergeron on that front row. It's not often you don't see Alex at the point of one of these heat races. Then you got Toby DeBille and Justin Thomas on road 2, Matt McKinney and James Edens on road 3, and then you have Austin Stellman and Bradley Cash on road number 4. And it's still, the big talking point. I mean, yeah, Alex is definitely going to be the car to watch here because I don't think AJ is going to be able to really hold on to that top spot came of this heat race. Alex is known for being very quick and very aggressive, even when he lets himself down in qualifying.
Yeah, and this is kind of his favorite position here. He's going to be starting 2nd, and we've seen, I just, whenever I think of a start at Williams Grove, I think of that. We still haven't come up with a word to describe it, but that Williams Grove start.
Briscoe, Tim Ryan,
that was
Alex. Yeah, that was a good one.
So you had like 5 cars all behind the leader actually just start and jump the leader. It was the weirdest thing I think we'd ever seen. I remember that fondly, and Alex Bergeron sitting on the outside there, and it's very hard to try to pin where the leader's going to go, actually, Randy, as they come on down to take the green.
Yep, it definitely can be, but Alex has been the only one who's been able to pull off a win, jumping one of these starts or maybe timing one of these starts. He, of course, did that in the late models at Lanier, putting a late race move on Nick Cooper going into one when it went back to green. Alex tries it, and the 17 likely sees that out of the corner of his eye, and he jumps immediately behind, second, third, and fourth on back. Not quite as good on the start. The 7 of Toby DeBill already dealing with the likes of Justin Thomas, as well as that 51 car, Matt McKinney, down the back straightaway, trying to hold him off. McKinney and Thomas go wheel to wheel in towards 3 and 4. The 18 of Austin Selman wants to get busy and up into this as well. He slots his nose up the inside, trying to get there. He's already up a spot on this heat race in towards P6. Is way up the racetrack when one of them is out in front. It's going to be Alex Bergeron and AJ Neben down the inside for Alex in towards 3 and 4. Can he get the job done down there? Does a good job keeping it against the outside wall, and he takes the lead down the front straightaway.
There is a little bit of speed loss on that outside line, and Nieben was running high right into past the cushion into the dirt, and that was slowing him down too. Bergeron is keeping basically his left front as close to that inside rail as he possibly can. As somebody goes around, that is the number 51 machine of Matthew McKinney from 5th position.
Matt McKinney, I don't think he was in 5th. I actually think he was in a transfer spot. Indeed, he was. He was in 4th. That was after a little bit of contact with the 7, pushed him into the 18 of Austin Selman. So that's going to be a pretty rough damper on his night this evening, as Bergeron's going to try checking out away from the rest of the field. AJ Neiman is still trying to stay there, though. Justin Thomas is having pretty much a season best run thus far in 3rd in this heat race. Looks keen to have a nice starting spot in the feature as he deals with that 52 car of James Edens. Toby DeBill's got shuffled back to 5th as Austin Selman is going to get right underneath that 7 car. Insane run down there. Austin might have an opportunity to go from 7th up to 4th here. There's only about 2.5 left to go.
Yeah, there's maybe 5, 6, 7 car lengths on the straight, but you know what? Austin Selman did a great job through that last corner. He's now cut it down to about 3 car lengths, and he's getting even closer. So yeah, Austin Selman is on an absolute tear, and Toby DeBill, I don't think is very comfortable in that car. He seems to get unsettled every time he comes off that final corner.
The 18 car is about 3/10 quicker last time on this 52 machine, and he has 1 lap to get it done as the white flag flies. They head off towards corner number 1. Your leaders are pretty much way and clear, but who's going to have the final transfer spot down the back straightaway for 3rd, 4th, and 5th for the final time? Austin's going to try to slingshot it around the outside. Bergeron's going to win the heat. Neben's going to come home 2nd, and Austin's going to end up a little bit short. Justin Thomas and James Edens take the final 2 transfer spots in this heat race, with Austin Selman rounding out your top 5. And then 6th and 7th, of course, going to Toby DeBill and Brad Cash. And Matt McKinney, after that incident, calls it quits and ends up 5 laps down in P8. So already some drama and already some excitement, Cam, but we have our first 12 cars decided for the feature tonight. But we're about to line up the other 12 and figure out the final 8, which will make the show this evening.
Yeah, and this is going to be also extraordinarily important. It's not just where you're transferring, it's how far up the field you are going to get, because as we saw with Austin Selman, you can be 3/10 a lap faster, but the moment you catch up to that car, it is not going to be easy to pass. So Dylan Selman is going to be leading us off here in this top 12 grid, and you know what? There's going to be the other Selman not that far behind.
Well, you say the top 12 could pretty much argue it's the
12.
Bottom 12 here.
Yeah, fair
these
point.
Guys get themselves gridding. So your last chance qualifier, 15 laps, top 8 go to the feature event. It's going to be Dylan Selman and Britton Roxbury on that front row, with Austin Selman and Robert Kurtstetter on row number 2. Dan Smolders and Toby DeBill going to be on row 3, and Jesse Dawkins and Anthony Lopresto will control the bubble row here at the start, as they're going to roll off 7th and 8th. Bradley Cash and Michael Sheridan will round out your top 10, and then the last 2 cars in this one is going to be Howard Weaver and Matthew McKinney. And it's one of those things, Cam, it's easy to get distracted and, you know, maybe lose a little bit of confidence here if you're starting deep in this field, saying I'm probably not going to be able to transfer. The thing is that drama in these races late on is pretty much standard at this point. It's very rare that we see one of these B mains go without at least a 3 or 4 car pileup, and normally that honestly comes from about the mid-pack, if not the front of the field.
Yeah, and that's what makes it important, I would say, to get up to the front of the field as quickly as you can, because let me tell you, when things fall apart quickly. People are now going to be starting to slide. You're running that high side, you're coming off the high side on corner number 4. That right rear is going to smack into that guardrail, as we saw already happen in the last heat, as Dylan Selman gets ready to set us off with Britton Roxbury on his outside.
Drama is definitely getting ready to unfold here at Williams Grove. These cars, most of them don't have a ding on them just yet. That will 100% change within about the first 3 laps of this last chance qualifier. The iRacing safety truck getting ready to let them loose here at Williams Grove. Which 8 drivers will get their way into the feature and duke it out for $300? We're about to find out as Dylan Selman brings them to green. Austin's already getting racy for that second spot in towards turn number 1 up the inside of Britton Roxbury. Can he get the move done here? As Britton's going to have to run down the back straightaway from the outside line, and Austin's going to have to settle into that 3rd spot, and he goes right back down to the bottom in 3 and 4. The 211 of Dan Smulders trying to work up the field as well as just about everyone is side by side at the end of turn 1.
Yeah, and then they quickly get into single file as there's a trio of cars between LaPresto, Sheridan, McKinney, Cash, and Weaver that have all traded positions with each other. That's allowing Jesse Dacus and Dan Smulders to get apart, as well as Toby DeVille. The back of the pack is where all the racing seems to be happening, because right now it's Dylan Selman, Britton Roxbury, and Austin Selman. And I gotta say, these guys, they were racing hard, but they were racing smart, because obviously they did not want to end their day in the wall.
Bubble Boy right now is the 57 of Anthony LaPresto, and Matthew McKinney wants to change that. Looks up the inside through corners number 3 and 4. Gets a little bit of run down the front straightaway. Probably going to slot it to the middle of the racetrack in towards 1 and 2. Can he get the drive off the corner? No, it doesn't look like it. Upper line still seems to be dominant. So LaPresto doing his hardest to be able to hold on to that spot. McKinney back down to the inside. Already up 3 spots on this heat race. Started dead, or excuse me, on this B main. Started dead last year and is already fighting for the transfer spot. 211 to Dan Smulders now, I believe, becomes the Bubble Boy. So blood in the water is definitely what that 51 car senses, and he's going to go right down to the inside of the 211 in 3 and 4. Matt McKinney being very aggressive here, but still not able to get it done.
Very aggressive, but we still have 10 laps to go here, so these guys need to maybe settle down just a little bit. I understand you want it to be max attack, which here comes Matthew McKinney on the inside. They go to the bridge, and McKinney should have a good slider. Will he get a good exit on it as Dan Smulders goes on his 410 wing sprint cars? They drag race down the start-finish line. That should go to Matt McKinney, and it does. He slides up. There's going to be a good counter from Dan Smulders. They make some contact.
Ooh.
Dan Smulders gets a nice little hip check, and he gets sent back.
He does. Not what you wanted if you're that 211 machine, but luckily for him, he didn't lose too much time. But that allows the 28 of Bradley Cash to come into the fold just a little bit. Of course, focusing heavily on the fight here for the bubble. There is things happening up near the front of the field. Dylan Selman has checked out from the rest of the field. The 421 of Britton Roxbury in the second spot, nearly a second back. Then you get Austin and Robert Kurtzetter, then the likes of DeVille, Dacus, LaPresto, and McKinney, as McKinney still holding on to that last transfer position here, as Dan Smulders has been able to reel him back in. Coming to 6 laps to go when they get to the line cam, and after that little hip check, I doubt that 211 car is going to be very understanding and play very nice with that 51 when he gets there.
Yeah, well, he's got to look out for Bradley Cash here. Bradley Cash now, this is the second time that he's had to basically abort on the exit of corner number 4, or else he was going to hit the 211 machine. So with 5 laps to go, Bradley Cash is going to have about maybe 1 opportunity to catch. He's trying to grind that inside line. That ain't going to help. He just jammed that inside barrier, and that forced Michael Sheridan to put on the brakes. So perhaps it is now just up to Dan Smulders to make or break the
McKinney's in the wall. McKinney's in the wall down the back straightaway. 211 and Dan Smulders slots it to the outside, and he takes that bubble spot right back in towards 3 and 4. So Matt McKinney, after the drama he's already had with the 211, makes an individual mistake and is only going to have about 3 laps to figure out if he's got damage on that machine, and if he does, to figure out how to wheel it and get himself into the show.
Yeah, and I think to say great save, he had that on maximum on the right steering, and he managed to keep that out of the inside wall and in the throttle, so he might not have the opportunity here because the lap times are favoring Dan Smulders, but we did see that incident where he just kind of pancaked the outside wall. It's going to be happening more and more.
Lap time is favoring Dan Smulders, and the lap count is favoring Dan Smulders. Then McKinney's going to try hooking it up on the outside. Nothing doing. Bradley Cash is very close there as well. 1 mile of racing left here in the last chance qualifier here at Williams Grove, and people have slowly moved their way pretty much right up against the outside wall through the corners. That 51 car, I think something's definitely broke on that car, the way it is tracking down the straightaways. But McKinney able to slide in front of Dan Smulders. Some mistake, something from the 211 car, the 51, is going to have P8 at the line. They run through 1 and 2. Smolder's still trying to hook up the bottom. Wheel through 1 and 2, but 2 loose. It's that 211 car. Selman's also fighting with Britton Roxbury as Dylan's going to win. Britton's going to come home in second and Austin in third. But what drama at the bubble spot came as McKinney's going to come from last, get himself into the transfer spot, make a mistake and lose it, and then get it coming off the mistake coming from the 211.
Yeah, and I gotta say, I think for me, that was just pretty much the bad positioning on Dan Smolder's part, and there's really nothing you can do about it.
Yep, that's pretty much it. That's, I think, the only way you can say about that one. We now have our 8-car field, have a quick warm-up here before the feature event, and then we will come back in just a moment. So do not go away. We're going to take a short break here on RaceSpot TV. Do not go away if you're watching on Dirt Vision or the iRacing Esports Network. We'll be back in about 60 seconds.
Did you know your DirtVision.com account gives you free access to our on-demand video library? From the DirtVision.com homepage, click on On-Demand Video near the top right of the screen. And from there, countless hours of World of Outlaws footage awaits at your fingertips. Watch every lap of the current World of Outlaws Craftsman Sprint Car Series season.
Sheldon Hodge looking for a run. Dives low into turn 3. Slide job! Sheldon Hodge shield to the cushion. Johnson turns it back underneath him, but Sheldon leads lap 23.
Or dive into some of the historical options with videos in our Classics section.
He has clear visibility, comes off the 4th turn in the clear, and leads lap number 1.
It's all available free and on demand on DirtVision.com.
Welcome back here to RaceSpot TV, streaming live on Dirt Vision and the iRacing Esports Network, and it is feature event time. The last couple seconds of the warm-up ticking down, and a track that I think most people were predicting during the week. Most of these drivers, everyone I talked to, were saying that this is probably going to be a track that favored the bottom line. Has been the opposite of what we've seen. We've seen a lot of running up against that outside wall, but as these guys get ready to set the field, let's take a quick look at 20 of the best sprint car drivers that'll be putting on the show for you tonight. At the front row, 2 of your late season championship contenders make up that front row with Tim Ryan and Chris Brenner, and a third of them comes on row number 2 with Alex Bergeron and Nick Cooper starting in 3rd and 4th. David Heileman and AJ Meeben, start 5th and 6th with Ryan Pace and Weston Newell in 7th, and Justin Thomas and Adam Elby round out your top 10 with Cameron Dance and James Eden in 11th and 12th. Dylan Selman and Britton Roxbury are going to be 13th and 14th, with Austin Selman and Robert Kurtsetter 15th and 16th, Toby DeBell and Jesse Dawkins 17th and 18th, and Anthony Lopresto and Matt McKinney get themselves just into the field and will be starting here at the back end of it. But from what we saw from that number 51 during that last chance qualifier, Cam, he is completely fine with starting deep in the field and running his way forward.
Yeah, absolutely. And now we do not have, say, 50 laps to get this thing rolling. We only have 30, and that's going to be pretty quick here for a half-mile track. These lap times are very, very quick, and it's going to just continue to keep on ticking, and you got to make your maneuvers. You don't want to be too aggressive because you don't want to put that car into the wall, which is going to be so very easy to do because they are running as high to that wall as they can imagine.
That's definitely the way it's going, but the question has to be is how is that bottom line going to come in? We've not seen a lot of people run down there, so it's not overly slick just yet, but there's still a lot of good dirt, it seems like, up against that outside wall. So the way this track comes in will likely be dictated by the number of cautions we get. The longer it goes green, the more abused that top line, of course, will get ground in. And thank you once again for joining us here and making us a part of your Monday evening. It's been a phenomenal show with some great racing thus far. Let's see if we can cap it off with the feature event. 30 laps put him on the board, and does anyone have any way to stop the Aussie starting at the head of the field? iRacing safety truck gets ready to put the field in command of that number 98 Altus Esports machine, and now it's a waiting game. When's he gonna go? When's he gonna go? The answer is now. Green flag flies. 30 laps on the board, and the 98 car gets a huge jump over the rest of the field. Chris Brenner should be able to, oh, he's gonna get in the wall. Chris Brenner in the 70 car for second. He's gonna drop 2, maybe 3 spots down the back straightaway. His mistake really early here on lap 1 is Heileman's gonna have a quick look up the inside and try to pick that spot up, but he's gonna get checked up by the 12 of Bergeron.
And the yellow flag is out for Dylan Semmelman. He got looped around, no damage by the looks of it. Actually, I stand corrected. His right front hit heavily into that barrier, so for maybe his day is going to be done, at least significantly delayed. Yeah, I was going to say that top line all fell apart when that little checkup happened, and once that happened, everybody got bunched up from about position 5 on back, Randy.
It definitely seemed like it. It was a 2-2 of Weston Newell, who actually got into Dylan's brother Austin through the center of 3 and 4. Don't really think there's anything Austin could do there. I think that's pretty much all on Weston. Got that little bit of contact, and that pretty much sent that 2-2 car up the road into the 3 machine of Dylan Selman. So that gives us a nice little field reset here. And Chris Brenner goes immediately back to P3. And I'll be honest, Cam, if I'm starting on the outside of that 70 car, so if I'm David Heileman, I just watched that car completely plow going into turn 1 there on the green flag lap. I'm probably pretty nervous starting outside of him.
Yeah, because you can't really just jink inside, because there's going to be somebody there. You have to commit to that outside line when you're starting on the outside, because, I mean, otherwise, where is the inside person going to go? And I know, obviously, the quote inner racer unquote that a lot of people would have would say, oh, well, that's perfect. You take the line away from them, but that's not how that works. You do that in a 410 wing sprint car that is an open wheel machine. You're going to have about a, 13, 14 car pileup on the way down as they're setting them up 2 by 2 and getting ready to rip roaring, ready to go.
2x2 once again as the lights are out on that iRacing safety truck, so we will be green this time by a couple of cars once again going up top, packing in that dirt up on that high line. Not sure if that's really supposed to have a serious effect, or if they're just sort of got a little bit of that ADD and are just like, come on, I want to race, want to race, want to race. I definitely want to see them race as they head down in towards 3 and 4. Tim Ryan and Alex Bergeron, 2 of the most aggressive starters on the sim here. Will the 12 car be able to time it? He tries to, not able to do it, but he actually gets a decent jump, much better than what we saw the 70 get. They run down the front straightaway, but the 98 is still well clear. Can Chris work his way through 1 and 2 clean this time? Very close to the outside wall, but he's going to be able to hold on to that third spot as Bergeron is able to get into the race lead.
Somebody's in the wall. Just as that happened, Ryan Pace absolutely creamed the inside wall. He ended up clipping David Heilman on that start there. It looks like Heilman, just as you were saying, he had gotten that rough start there. They were almost 5 wide as AJ Nebben also hit the outside wall. And then once you hit somebody there, Randy, there's really nothing you can do. There's no amount of car saving because everybody's coming. You're going to get hit in the rear end, and he got cleaned up by somebody there, that yellow car. But my goodness, you got to say, for Alex Bergeron, well, that inside line is what he ran in the heat. Now he's leading.
And as well, Chris Brenner ends up in the 2nd spot. So Tim Ryan, not a great restart for him, gets shuffled back to 3rd. But you're definitely right. Just looking at that incident with Ryan Pace, David Highland basically took his nose off. And when that happened, it was actually just good by Ryan to be able to even save that car. But he was off pace in front of an entire field of cars pretty much. There's not much any of those guys could ever do there. Ryan, with all the stagger on that right rear, there's no way you can get that car jerked over to the right side. So just unfortunate circumstances. We reset the field again off of another kind of lazy incident as a result of the field being stacked up early.
Yeah, and the stacking is what you're going to be used to. I mean, best case scenario, he could have just lit it up and spun it. And other than that, you still have 4 or 5 cars coming directly at your face hole. There's nothing you can really do when you're getting spun like that because of how tight this is, which makes it exciting, but also makes it really easy to bring that caution out. So we've had more yellow flag running than green flag running, but you know what? Hopefully, for the next 20 laps, we can get this done.
I do have to correct myself. It showed me on my timing for a moment that Chris Brenner was ahead of Tim Ryan. It seems like that has since been corrected, as the 98 car is going to be running in the second spot. Chris Brenner shuffled back to third. But still, Alex Bergeron on that bottom groove. You know that Tim's not going to be happy with himself. This is the first time we really see him, after dominating a night like this, be quickest in qualifying and dominate his heat, have a mistake like that this early that checks him up. 98 to Tim, giving a little bit of room to that 12 car up top. He gives a wide berth up top, and the people on the outside row is not going to like that. Really don't see the logic in that at all, because he just gave that second spot right to Brenner, and now he's going to be on that bottom groove fighting with the 5 of Heilemann. So the 98 car just opting to slot into the third spot, it seems like, as he's right down to the inside through 3 and 4.
And not a comfortable start at all for Tim Ryan. I will say, as we have another car. It's Albie, Adam Albie. The number 74 machine has gone around for a single loop, but you know what though? McKinney was right there. They all stacked up to that inside line. They ran out of space. The car slowed up just enough to where the slide stopped, and Adam Albie parked it right into the guardrail.
Yeah, the two of them are, of course, teammates. Black cars with identical sponsor locations, and I just saw the car that was spinning around. Thought it was McKinney's. I was close, though. I'll give myself points for that. So Adam Albie, lazy little incident once again. That's the third of our race cam that's unfortunately come to the clutches of the caution flag here tonight. To say, it's just been a lot of people being over aggressive, like right there. It just seemed to me LB kind of slotting himself up the inside into a 3-4 wide situation. Don't really see why you have to do that when the field is as stacked up as it is.
I mean, you can pick up one, maybe two positions, but you can also spin and have the, or lose the front wing, damage the suspension. I would give it at least, you can take the positions as they come, but I would give it at least 3 laps to just get into the rhythm, because this is a rhythm track, Randy, and you know this. You have to
I don't know much of anything.
Oh, you have to be in that mindset of being able to run at Williams Grove, having the throttle off point. I stab the brake. When the track starts getting completely worn, I start stabbing the brake, pushing it into 1. And so you got to set yourself up muscle memory to do that. These cars are going so fast here, you got to maybe do a wing adjustment. And so for these guys, they're not even letting themselves get into a rhythm because they're racing on going to the green, basically.
Yeah, that's definitely the way it seems like. I definitely understand. You want to be aggressive early. It is sort of the racing driver's mindset of got to go fast, got to go fast, got to go fast. But sometimes when that ends up happening, all you end up doing is bringing out a bunch of cautions that does nothing but take laps off the board that you potentially be picking spots up with. That said, lights back out on the iRacing safety truck. We'll be going to green essentially at halfway, lap number 14 of 30. We've only run, I think, about 3 laps or so under green flag as they run themselves down the back straightaway here. Hopefully everyone getting the jitters pretty much gone here. And the 12 and the 70 going to be trying to figure out how they're going to race with one another. I'm interested to see what the 98 does, because that was the most passive restart I've ever seen from a sprint car driver. He slots himself back a little bit further again, tries to time it, and Bergeron is not going to go in the 98 thing. So the 12 car is going to have the race lead, the 70 and the 98 get into second and third as you'd expect. Side by side for the second spot. That's between the 35 of Nick Cooper and David Heilemann, as well as the 6 of Cam Dan. They're going to be nearly 3 wide. We've got a big pile up off of corner number 2. I believe Dawkins is involved. Dylan Selman involved again. I think that's Robert Kurtzetter, excuse me. As we had Thomas is involved here.
Yeah, so this all started with, I believe it was, Justin Thomas there, all on his own. But I think what happened is that you could see that inside line, he basically took the speed that you need to do to the outside line. He went to the inside line. When you do that, well, you're going to hit the car that's going from the top to the bottom. That was Cameron Dance. So once he tapped them, he slowed down. He tried to speed on up, but then once he started doing that, he was going to go to the in-road, which has a concrete barrier, which obviously isn't that great. So once Thomas nipped that, Thomas wasn't actually the caution. He was the one having an issue as Chris Brenner comes in, and Tim Ryan. Something has happened to Mr. Tim Ryan because his car is now parked in pit lane, Randy.
Have to take a look here at what happened to Tim. This is something we missed. I was
going into 2 when the caution came out. Going into 3 when the caution came out.
Yeah, I think we were all focused looking at what was happening on the exit of 2, and we missed this. Oh, the 70 Brenner was involved. Big contact. Yeah. We totally missed this one. Sorry about this, guys, but this was your 70 and the 98 going into turn 3. Tim and Chris just basically hooked each other going into the corner that spanned that number 70 car right around, and then a couple people coming through essentially T-boned that number 98, and they can go ahead around the bases because that there was a home run.
Yeah, basically. I mean, thank goodness there's a bunch of grass sitting up there. But yeah, for Tim Ryan, I mean, what can you do? I feel like what happened, I don't think, was the caution officially out yet?
I don't think so. It would have been close.
Because it was close. Because I think, like, for Brenner, I mean, he seems like he got out of it really early, but he was cutting into the turn. Anyways, we're going to be going to the green, so we'll get back to it.
So coming back to green here, field gets themselves stacked up, but now, I mean, championship points get crazy as a couple of your contenders just got taken out. The 12 of Alex Bergeron looks keen to maximize and potentially stretch out a points lead as green flag is back in the air. 35 Nick Cooper trying to run the outside. You have the 6 and the 5 fighting amongst this as well, as Alex been able to get through pretty much clean.
Yeah, Robert Kerstetter has crashed his car. Will he get it off the track? Yes, he will. So Robert Kerstetter has nipped the outside wall. He put it on his side, so we stay green, thankfully, because Nick Cooper now has entered the picture. Bergeron is still covering that low side as they are still just an absolute death ball from about 5th position back.
We talked about this, the fact that he was so comfortable in the last chance qualifier starting deep. The 51 car who started dead stone cold nuts last in the 51 is up to P number 4. So putting in a Howard Weaver-like performance tonight is the 51 car of Matthew McKinney as they head off towards 3 and 4. And now he's racing with the lights of David Heilman and Cameron Dance. So this is sort of what I'm talking about, Cam. As aggressive as these guys get, a little bit of patience and ensuring that you get to this stage of the race can pay off in dividends. So there's not a lot of ways you can end up plus 16 on the night, 21 laps into one of these feature races.
I mean, we have had something like 6 retirements, but you know what? That's not really... it's been good positioning, good racing, just like McKinney's doing right now on the inside of David Heilman. He's going to be able to get the pass done simply because that outside line, you're spending way too much of the track dragging out as Heilman actually counters. I think he thought McKinney was going to come up on him, even though he wasn't. But going into one, Randy, you spend so much momentum out there at full speed, just tracking away from the track. You're maybe 100 feet from between the car you're racing against, and just look at how much gap that inside line has come in now.
It really is impressive. Second place is running the top as well. That's the 35 of Nick Cooper. Important to note, quickest cars on the track are pretty much running the bottom. Alex is down there putting out the quickest times pretty much of anyone on circuit. McKinney running the bottom has been 4/10 a lap quicker than Nick Cooper. So inside of 10 laps to go, coming to 6th at the line, that 51 car is hunting to get himself up into that second spot late. Gets a good run off of corner number 4, the 35 all over the place as he comes down the front straightaway, and now the gap is under half a second, and McKinney continues to reel in that number 35.
You want to know something really interesting? Alex Bergeron ran an 18.921. Nick Cooper ran an 18.921. You want to know what? Alex Bergeron's running the inside line and nothing else, and Nick Cooper's running the high side and nothing else. So that's pretty interesting right there, though. That Alex Bergeron goes around. He's gone around. He's pulled the yellow out.
What in the world happened to the 12 car of Alex Bergeron? No one around him whatsoever. A race that can be defined tonight as making individual mistakes, and that's the only way it can be explained. He's the only thing did he have a hardware failure of some sort?
I mean, I don't believe so. I mean, it looked like maybe the wheel was stuck. No, he straightened the wheel out, so obviously he had the wheel control.
I think he had a hard wheel failure.
The throttle, do you think the pedals went?
No, we have one of our cameras is put basically right on next to the left front, and I think he had a steering failure there going into turn 1 because the car started spinning left, and he turned that wheel went to the left. He didn't try to counteract the spin whatsoever. So I think he had some sort of hardware failure right in the middle of the spin and right onto the entry into the corner, which is the worst place you would ever hope for it. But what drama here inside the final handful of laps. You go from winning this race pretty much easy to being buried on the field with questionable hardware now, and now you're going to have the likes of Cooper and McKinney duking it out for the win when we go green, which I think should happen with about 1 to go. We'll find out if the lights go out this time.
Yeah, and Bergeron, he's not even going to be able to collect anything off of this. He's a lap down because it took him so long to get around. The pace car past him. So what we're going to see, Randy, because I'm telling you right now, they're going to get 1 to go right now. So we're going to have a 1-lap shootout for all the marbles. And these guys are going to be racing for cash, so that's going to be quite exciting. But, Randy, this is going to be a certainly, as long as we can start clean, certainly a very, very interesting battle here at Williams Grove Speedway.
Well, get ready for the gloves to come off because it's official. The lights are out on the iRacing safety truck. 28 laps have been scored complete. They are currently logging 29, and we will be getting the green on lap number 30. So out in front, it's Nick Cooper, who started in the top 4, and Matt McKinney, who started in 20th place in the 20-car field that will be duking it out in the front row. Behind them, 2 of the sprint car mainstays in the iRacing dirt community, David Heilemann and Austin Selman. The winner surely should come from that top 4, but who knows what's going to happen the way tonight has been. The 35 gets on it. McKinney doesn't really try to jump the start at all. I think he knows he's in for a good night, being a little bit passive with it. Heilemann and Selman, they're going to go wheel to wheel hard. McKinney going to get brought into that battle as well as they scream down the back straightaway for the final time. McKinney trying to hold on to that second spot as Heilemann and Selman are going to fight with one another. Cooper's trying to run the outside line, and he'll be able to hold on to it, and Nick Cooper will win here at Williams Grove, but McKinney will go 18 spots positive on the night to finish second here at Williams Grove. And Cam, that's going to have to feel like a win for him.
It's going to have to feel like a win for, I mean, absolutely. I can't even begin to imagine how happy Matthew McKinney's going to be. I can tell you, though, somebody that's going to not be happy is Austin Selman, because he got absolutely hooked coming off the final exit to the drag there with David Heilemann, and he wrecked it hard right in front of the whole, basically the rest of the field. The rest of the field basically got pinballed and sent down the front stretch and all sorts of upside downness. And that threw the back half of the results down the drain. But you know what? For Matthew McKinney and David Heilemann and Nick Cooper, I mean, what a day for these guys. Absolutely outstanding.
Selman shouldn't be too upset because he actually got to the line in the same position he would have regardless. So that contact with David didn't have any adverse effects on his results. But we need to go down those results after what a night it was. It's going to take a while to think about what in the world happened tonight as Nick Cooper ends up taking victory after the 30-lap feature event. Matt McKinney up 18 spots on the night, finishes second. David Heilemann's in third. Austin Selman in fourth, and Cameron Dance rounds out your top 5. 3 of your top 5 started outside of the top 10. And it gets even crazier from there. James Edens in 6th, started 12th. Britton Roxbury in 7th, started 14th. Adam Elby's only up 2, as if that's a bad thing, in the 8th spot. Anthony LaPresto's up 9 in that 9th spot, and Justin Thomas is down 1 in 10th. Weston Newell finishes 11th. Jesse Dawkins in 12th, and Toby DeBille rounds out the 13 cars that finish this on the lead lap. Alex Bergeron, what a stroke of bad luck. 2 of his championship rivals go out of the race, and hardware failure prevents him from stretching an enormous lead in the points. He finishes 14th. Robert Kurtstetter in 15th. Chris Brenner in 16th. Tim Ryan in 17th. Dylan Selman 18th. AJ Neben in 19th. And Ryan Pace round out the 20-car field. We're going to have a short break here on RaceSpot TV before we get to post-race coverage and interviews. Do not go away. We will be right back.
Courage at the mile. What part did courage play in this victory?
Kinzer going into the corner, trying to get by Dale Waxo, makes contact.
Hell of a lot, I'll tell you that right there.
So many times, everybody had lost track. Look at how it shot up on the center track.
Tell you what, that was some close races at a high speed.
The World of Outlaws create memories for fans every night. Now share your favorite Outlaw moment on social media. Whether it was 1978, 1998, or 2018, we want to know, what's your Outlaw moment? Did you sneak into a victory lane picture? Get whiplash driving past a parking lot full of crews at work? Or maybe you simply got to meet your favorite driver in the pits after the races. Tweet it, Instagram it, just use the hashtag #MyOutlawMoment. You might even hear Voice of the Outlaws' Johnny Gibson share your memory at the track. Don't delay, start posting today. Let us know with my Outlaw moment.
Welcome back here at RaceSpot TV, streaming live on the iRacing Esports Network and on Dirt Vision. There was a lot of cautions, but my oh my, what a race and how much drama that came through in the 16-minute long feature tonight. And the driver who ends up getting it done is the 35 of Nick Cooper. Nick, you're so close to getting a win at Lanier a few weeks ago in the late models when Alex ended up taking that away. But luck comes your way, and in all honesty, you lucked your way into a race that you pretty much had no hope and no, let's say no responsibility winning here. All came on the stroke of fantastic luck. How are you feeling here tonight? $300 richer.
I'm just beside myself right now. That I knew that race was going to be survival, but it's just that just was fun to race in general because how slick the track got. It was just fun in general to race.
And I'm talking about this track here tonight. When I spoke to some of the drivers, they kind of predicted that this track would be a little bit more bottom focused. And while there were some cars that were really good on the bottom, the 51 of McKinney was good down there. Alex was running down there pretty much perfectly before his hardware failure. About most of the field, though, was running up top. Why was this a track were you expecting to be bottom lane? And if so, why was it so top focused tonight? What was it about the way the track came in?
I feel like there was a bottom. It was pretty even, but the thing is, though, if you drove in too hard on the bottom, you would definitely miss it. And I think people wanted to avoid that. They just wanted to make sure that they held their spot consistently and didn't mess up.
Well, Nick, you managed to do just that. You didn't mess up, and because of that, 30 laps in of racing done, you come away as the winner tonight. Before we let you go, who gets it done for you in that number 35 car?
I got to thank Victory Lane Racing, all my teammates on there, and we put some time in on the setup tonight, and it paid off. And I got to thank Dirt Collective, our team sponsor, and just everybody that's a part of this, and you guys in the booth for doing an awesome job every week you do.
Well, we definitely appreciate it. Hope to see you have some better luck in the future as well, Nick.
Thank you.
So, there it is for Nick Cooper, your big winner on the night. But I think someone else who's likely even happier, the two brothers that are doing a good job of coming through the field consistently. It seems like one of them ends up in second place. That's Matthew McKinney, who stood by with Cam Walsh.
The number 51 of Matthew, plus 19 positions on the day, McKinney. I mean, take me through kind of your whole day here. I mean, that's absolutely unheard of, basically, especially in an open wheel car, especially on a paperclip track, to move up so many positions. Yeah, of course there were incidents, but just a lot of this had to be done on the track. Take me through it.
Yeah, early on, especially throughout the day, I just could not get the car to work with no fuel in qualifying. I couldn't figure it out. I think the car was pretty good. It's just, I don't know. There was some issue there, but got unlucky in the heat race, got taken out and had to start almost dead last in the B main, I think, as well. Managed to get through that and get the last transfer spot. And yeah, feature time, I had no idea what to expect. I said I'm just gonna run the bottom the whole time. I don't care how many positions I get or if I don't move at all. I'm just gonna stay down there and just hope for the best. And it worked out. And my heart rate's still going. I did not expect to get a podium finish tonight, but I'm just really happy to be able to get a good finish for the Third Base Bar and Grill team, Logan CV Racing, and Swindell Speed Lab. Finally, be able to talk to you guys with them on the car. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely, and kind of the final question, that last restart, were you thinking of doing something hard, like an Alex Bergeron, or were you just gonna pin that, pin him down or something like that, or did you just not want to get a black flag or something like that, or jump the start and get your second place finish, basically?
Well, I thought about it for sure. I figured, if I was the second, might as well go for the win if something, if it presents itself. And I tried to get a good restart, but Nick got out on the gun pretty fast, and I just wasn't ready for it. And I couldn't really get the jump on the top side where all the slick was. So once he got in front, I'm like, all right, I'm just going to go to the bottom where I know that I've been running the entire race. That's what my main concern was, is if I did get alongside him, I'd run the top 1 and 2. I haven't done that the entire race, so I don't want something to happen where I just hit the wall and flip and have to retire at all, entirely. So, yeah, once he got a good jump, and I just went to the bottom, and I was going to take second for sure after that.
Yeah, and we did see that a couple of times. Tim Ryan, and at another point, it was Howard Weaver that had done that. So perhaps good call. But either way, Matt McKinney, congratulations. Wonderful job. I mean, you made it to the consolation by the skin of your teeth, and then you made it into the feature starting last, and you've worked your way up completely all the way up to finish in second position, just one shy of the victory. But you know what? That right there, I got to say, getting some cash money for that. Congratulations. The floor is yours. Anyone you'd like to thank?
Yeah, again, just everyone on this race car that helps me out in the sprint cars. Third Base Bar and Grill, Logan CV Racing, and Swindell Speed Lab, and also thanks to all the Level 7 guys who don't really work on the sprint car stuff, but we've been doing well in the late model as well, so I'm really looking forward to next week, try to get a win for them as well.
All right, so Matt McKinney, thank you so very much for hopping in the booth with us. We'll see you next week.
Thank you, guys.
So a unlikely but amazing story, because Randy, I gotta say, shooting that hole once, it's the luckiest thing that could happen to you all season. But then to basically do it twice, I mean, talk about a day.
Yeah, I mean, it was pretty good. I mean, and you can even say the same thing. He's done it a few times this season, did it twice tonight, and he did it at Knoxville in the late models when they came from the back to finish 1-2. So the McKinney brothers, there's something that's going right for them. They may not be the quickest outright, but there are things going their way. But another driver that finished strong tonight is that number 5 car, David Heileman, who finishes in third. Dave, of the drivers that started up near the front of the field, you and Nick Cooper were the only two to stay there. The rest of the guys that ended up there all came from pretty much nowhere, 10th place on back, more or less. What in the world was happening in that top 5 or so to be the pretty much the calamity area?
Yeah, I'm just not sure. I was kind of just chilling behind Nick all race, and bad luck happens. It's happened to us earlier in the season, but you just continue to be consistent, have the speed. It'll come back around, and tonight, what happened to a couple guys, feel bad for Alex, my teammate. We could have made up some points there, but we'll definitely take a third for the car we had tonight.
And now this is officially the halfway point of the season. And how are you feeling in where you are coming into this? You were about 100 points out off Tim Ryan in 6th, but with a lot of the drama that just happened, that's going to get tightened up. Because, it was Tim and Alex, of course, 1-2, and they just had kind of terrible nights and terrible strokes of luck. Same with James Edens and, a lot of people that were in that mix up near the front of the field having kind of mediocre at best runs tonight. You're sort of one of the better ones finishing third. What's your feeling on this championship? How much work is it going to go into it, into potentially bringing it home?
Yeah, like I said, besides week 1, I've had a top 5 car every single race. It's just unfortunate. In 2 races, guys spun off the cushion and I got involved. I think besides Tim, Alex, and even Chris Brenner, I think I've been the 4th most consistent, I'd say, at least speed-wise on the track. But yeah, not, like I said, feel bad for Alex losing points on Tim. We're still about 100 points out probably or something. But if we can just get up in that top 5 and, even get our name mentioned with them, that'd be great.
Who gets it done for you, Dave?
All the guys back at Team VLR. I'd like to thank Tech 3 Defense, Burberry Designs, Joel Berkeley with Down Under Graphics. Thanks Race Spot for putting on, and World of Outlaws for partnering with iRacing in this so we can show our talents pacing around.
Well, I'm sure you have to get to the super serious VLR discussions. I assume that's what dinging on your phone there. But
sorry.
Good luck to you next week in the late models.
Thanks.
Well, Cam, what an exciting night of action. And as it is officially halfway in the season now, I don't think we're going to have updated points, but you can kind of project what the points might look like. So Tim was about 40 points ahead of Alex. Then you had Cameron Dance in 4th. Matt McKinney was in 5th, just about 100 points off the lead. Yeah, you have a night where Tim and Alex finish horrible. Cam Dance has a good run and finishes in, I believe, 5th or 6th. Yeah, 5th. Heileman, who we just talked to, finished 3rd. McKinney finished 2nd, who was 5th in the points. those top 4, top 5 spots are going to get very tightly contested as we head into the next round.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I do think everyone does get a drop week now.
I don't think so. Maybe as I look at the points still, I mean, it's going to be tight.
Yeah, and I mean, James Edens, obviously, he has now entered the picture. I mean, we didn't get to talk much about James Edens, but he finished 6th from 12. That is a massive effort for him, especially because he had been skirting around a lot of those single car spins and dodging them left and right. So great job for James Edens to work his way through there. Cameron Dance, yeah, good 5th place finish. It's been good. It's getting better. Obviously, not a fan of the cautions. Nobody ever is, but they do happen. And I think for me, the big thing was a lot of this wasn't even necessarily super over-aggression dive bombing from at least one fair-sized novel away. This was pretty mundane single car spin, 2-car spin when there's a little bit of crowding. You know, it wasn't anything crazy, and hopefully we can continue to get better.
Let's hope so, as we are going to call it a night here on RaceSpot TV and the World of Outlaw Craftsman Sprint Car Championship Series. What a night of action it was here, but if you're not done, or if you want to catch more of this sort of action, you're going to have to wait 7 days when the World of Outlaw Craftsman Late Model Championship Series ends up making their return to Volusia Speedway Park for the second time. But there's a lot more craziness on the docket for this week. Tomorrow night, you can catch the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze iRacing Series as they get closer and closer to the end of their championship. Names like Ryan Michaeluza, Ray Alfala, Keegan Leahy, Bobby Zielinski, all fighting for that championship. And on Thursday night, the 4th round of the iRacing Rallycross World Championship takes place as well. You can find myself and Jonathan Simone, if I don't say it right, he'll yell at me, bringing the coverage on that one. So 2 more World Championship level events just in this week alone, so be sure to tune in to the iRacing Esports Network to catch all of the action, and of course broadcasts from our lovely partners at LSR TV and at V8s Online. But that is going to do it for us here at RaceSpot. Huge shout outs to my co-commentator Cam Walsh and Mr. Push the Buttons in the booth, Hugo Louis, for everything he has done for us tonight. Huge shout outs to the World of Outlaws as well as to Craftsman for sponsoring these championships as well. We hope to see you all next time. Bye-bye.